Today we are covering rule sets and scaling rule sets on TikTok and Facebook. If you don't know what a rule set is and this is your first time using rule set, think of it like stop losses if you're trading. If you're a stock trader, you're gonna have stop losses to prevent basically you losing your entire trade value, right? So if you invest $10,000 and the stock plummets, as opposed to if you losing $10,000, if your stop loss was set at $500, you would lose $500. So you'd have $9,500 less. Think of it in the same way. Some are gonna be advanced, some are gonna be basic. So I'll just go ahead and I'll filter through the ones that I use first. And then if you have any questions or concerns, you can go ahead and drop it in the comments below. The most famous rule name that I name is ROAS bonus. So think of it like slots, right? You're playing slots, you hit a bonus, what happens? You have more odds and more chances to win that jackpot. So you're gonna do all active campaigns. It's at the campaign level. You're going to want to increase daily budget by, and this figure is gonna be 25% with a maximum daily budget cap of $250. Now this is my parameter. If I'm running a campaign, my daily campaign budget is always gonna be $250. Anything more than that starts getting funky. The metrics start performing awkward. I've been seeing a lot of DMs about people saying, hey, what do you think of the TikTok metric? Or Facebook hasn't been performing well. You're losing money because you don't have rule sets preventing it from performing well or rewarding it for performing well, right? Cost per result, this is not the one. We're looking for website purchase ROAS is greater than 1.8. Now, this number is going to vary. All right. It's going to be important for you to calculate min R, which is minimum ROAS, right? So if your product is like $40 and your average cost per acquisition is $20, but the product cost is 18, you're going to be making $2 an order. That's not profitable, right? So you're going to want to sit there and determine your product price and then come up with your minimum ROAS of like actually wanting to spend more money on that campaign. For most people, it's going to be between 1.6 and 1.8, right? So that's pretty much what I would set it at. For now, I'll set it to 1.6. So 1.6x ROAS, you're probably looking at 8 to 12% margins. 1.8, you're probably looking at 15 to 18% margins. Okay. If you want to be crazy, set it to 2. But most campaigns at scale aren't going to be getting 2x ROAS. They're going to be getting between 1.4 and 1.7. And we're going to do it once hourly. So that means it's going to basically monitor this campaign. If the campaign is getting 1.8x ROAS every hour, it'll continue to increase the budget by 25% until the actual campaign reaches a daily cap of $250. Now, let's say you're already at the point where you're spending $250 per campaign. Then I would set this to $750 because that'll be 3 triggers essentially. It's compounding not just 25%. You can change this to actual numerical values, right? So if you want to bump it up by $25 just to keep it clean, you can do that as well. I always do the percentages because I think it just works better in my opinion. So the schedule is just continuously. You want this running all the time. Now I set it to all campaigns, right? Let's say you don't want all active campaigns to do this. You have different structures, right? Some you're not running CBO. Maybe you have some rule sets in there, or not rule sets, sorry. Maybe you have some bid cap campaigns. Maybe you're just running different offers. You don't have to set it for all campaigns, okay? So you can set it to the actual campaign, which is what we have here. You can set it to active ad sets. You can set it to the active ad, so it doesn't even have to be on the ad set level. And that's when you start doing different stuff like turning off the ad if the click-through rate is below 2.5% and stuff like that, all right? So that's how you would turn off those ads. So think about this as like this giant spider web. You have all these different options to go and navigate to, and it's gonna require some tinkering continuously, and then we're gonna create that rule set, okay? So remember, that was the ROAS boost. So I'll give you an example of what accordion method. So think of the accordion as we're expanding. We just gave it permission to do better, as in, hey, if you perform well, you're gonna get candy, keep performing well. Facebook wants to make money, so they wanna spend more money. You want Facebook to be slapped on the wrist when they start performing bad. So now we're gonna create the exact opposite, and this is gonna protect your budget. ROAS punishment. ROAS bonus, ROAS punishment. You see where we're going with this? All active campaigns, the exact same thing. Action, turn off campaigns. Now let's take a look at this. We have increased daily budget by, decreased daily budget by, increased lifetime budget by, decreased lifetime budget by. So here's the kicker. You have the decreased daily budget option. So if you want your campaigns like me, where I have a little bit more bankroll behind me, and maybe I let the bad performing kids have a little bit more leg room just because I'm like, I want to see, maybe that's going to spawn some curiosity in the kid. I'm going to give them a little bit more of leeway. So I'm used to dealing with bad campaigns. And sometimes when you let them run and let them figure it out and let them go through the learning phase, they'll self-optimize. A way to prevent you from losing all of your daily budget is to decrease the daily budget. Okay. So what you would do is the exact same setup, but as opposed of improving the budget, budget if the metric is 1.8. You would decrease the budget if the metric falls below a certain rate. And that rate has to be below 1. Because what will happen is if the ROAS goes above 1, it'll decrease the budget and it'll conflict with the other rule set. So you ideally want it to do is fall below 1. So I would do like 0.9, 0.8, decrease budget by 75%. And you're just going to let that kind of roll and run. All right. Now, what I particularly do too is I turn off the campaigns. So what I'll do is I'll actually go in and I'll turn off the campaign, and then I'll just make sure basically there's no more money being spent in that campaign if it's performing poorly. So now let's create the punishment campaign. For the cost per result, we're going to go to ROAS, website purchase ROAS, continuously. So if the ROAS range is below 1, it'll turn off the campaign. Essentially what I've said here is, as you can see, the website purchase ROAS is between 0.1 and 0.9. Let me just show you this really quick. If it's performing bad, you want to punish it. If it's performing good, you want to give it a treat and a candy so it continues to perform well. Increase daily budget by 25% if the website purchase ROAS is greater than 1.8. Now, these are manual rule sets. This was an automatic rule set from one of the templates. Okay, so let's go back to the rules and I'll show you one of the template ones. We're going to go to rules, create a new rule, optimize ads. So we're going to reduce audience fragmentation, combine ad sets, audiences, and budgets automatically. So this is Facebook's version of a CBO on Facebook. Not a lot of people even knew about this. There's only really 2 rules that I apply on TikTok as well. It's super easy to do. Let's create some automated rules for TikTok. So they give you basically the templates that I created on Facebook manually. So we're going to create a custom rule and we're going to say real-time cost per acquisition. Okay, so this is what we're considering here, right? The real-time conversions, and this is going to optimize every 24 hours from yesterday's campaign. Let's say it was your CPA strike price is $15. You want $15 CPAs. You would go $15.99, then notify me, just daily budget to increase by 25% with a maximum daily budget cap of $250. Adjust frequency cap once every 24 hours. Now we're going to run this every 30 minutes. Notify me every time. Also notify me if conditions aren't met. So basically what that'll say is, you didn't get CPAs under $16. These conditions weren't met, therefore we didn't bump your budget. So this is basically the same thing. I like to call it it's like a cherry picking rule set. Okay, so what you're saying is if the real-time conversions yesterday were below a certain threshold, bump the budgets tomorrow by 25% with a maximum daily budget of $250. This is a way that you can basically create a campaign on Monday, and by Thursday it's automatically scaling. So like when I was away, I had rule sets that were basically optimizing the campaigns for deducting the budgets and improving the budgets consistently. And that's something that's super important, because if you don't have that, you're basically just looking at, you have to be attached to your screen 24/7. Once again, real-time cost per acquisition, that's the same thing for Facebook. So think about it as conversions. When I spoke about it on Facebook, you're not optimizing these rule sets for traffic campaigns or reach campaigns. It's only for conversion campaigns. Yesterday, less than $16. Once again, this figure will be completely up to you. It doesn't have to be $16. It can be whatever strike price you want it to be. I know guys in the space that have cost per acquisitions of $28, $29, and it's ludicrously profitable. All right, so that's pretty much what you're looking at, right? So this is going to be your strike price. Same thing that I said to calculate on Facebook. It's going to be what you have to do now. All right. So like you have to do some math with your cost per acquisitions. You have to determine where you're profitable, where you break even, where you're making 8 to 12, where you're making 15 to 18%, and then go from there. All right. So, but just for the sake of this, I'm just going to create it at $15. Complete that rule set, frequency cap once every 24 hours. Okay. So this is going to self-optimize that actual campaign. Now let's create a rule set that's going to do the same thing, but punish it. All right. So this is for a negative performing campaign. This is great for testing. This is great for scaling. Now let's do the punishment campaign. Real-time CPA yesterday, we want to do is between. So now we're going to look at the actual amount that you're losing money. But if you have a price in mind that you know is unprofitable, and sometimes it kind of hovers there, that's what you want to input here. So for me, most of my products, it starts becoming unprofitable between $17 and $24, right? And then basically you can create another rule set to where if it's above $24, you can turn it off. All right. Now watch this, one more. Real-time CPA, yesterday, it's greater than 24, which is our in-between. Remember, that's the range where it's not shutting off. So if it goes above $24, turn off, run every 30, notify me if conditions aren't met. On our Facebook ad campaign, we have turn off campaigns if website purchase is between 0.1 and 0.9. The fragmentation audience campaign, which is automatic. So it's going to self-optimize the campaigns that we have multiple interests, multiple ads in. We have all the different parameters that we're basically setting to test and give Facebook data. They're going to optimize that for us automatically. This is the protection. This is going to protect your wallet. This is going to protect essentially your ad account account to make sure that it's running effectively and you're not burning cash. And you guys are basically, I know this is definitely new and you guys didn't know about that. Same rules. You have one that's going to turn off poor performing campaigns, one that's going to improve the budgets of campaigns that are performing well, and one that's going to strike it out if they're between a certain range where you're like, I don't want to spend money on campaigns with a CPA between $17 and $24. I'd rather have the budget go towards campaigns that are below that. So that's rule sets. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and drop them in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. This is FSIC. Thank you.